Today we're going to go for a soda. You want to go for a soda? Don't those words just sound good? You're going to go for a soda, going to go someplace, and you're not going to worry about feeding yourself, just getting a soda. It's a great idea. It's a great concept. So today we're going to go for a soda. It doesn't have to be a can of soda, although the can made it more interesting to paint. But that's what we're going to paint today, and I'll show you how I took the background and I made it part of the card, because it's a card, it's a greeting card. So I'll show you how I did this right now. All right, so I'm going to get started now, and this is maybe better if I do it this way. Now normally when I do cards I like to have them like this. I think because this is a face of a woman, I think I'm going to make it so you fold it this way. So it's one of the rare vertical cards. And there's a lot of cards that you buy in the store, they're all vertical, right? But I usually do them the landscape way. But I'm going to do this one the portrait way. So the idea is to paint a girl drinking a soda. Simple as that. So the challenge is going to be probably the fingers. I'm just going to try to rough it out here with a pencil. So let's take, let's try to figure this out. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this here, the top of the soda can. That's going to be where my starting point. Let's get some fingers in here. I think the fingers are so important in this picture because you want to be able to visually feel the soda can. You want to what do you call it? Relate to what she's feeling, which is the soda can. That cold soda can going up into your mouth and bringing the soda down into your throat. Oh my gosh, it sounds nasty when I describe it that way, right? But anyway, yeah, I just want to tip of the finger. Our fingers, our bodies actually are so amazing. Do you know that play from the 60s called Hair? They had a song called What a Piece of Work is Man. And I don't really know much about the song as far as what are they referring to, but I always thought it meant what an amazing design, and it's pretty much all of creation. Everything is designed unbelievably. I know some people don't believe in intelligent design, but whether you believe whatever you believe, it's clearly an amazing design. All life. I mean, even an octopus. Look at an octopus. That's an amazing design. And so what I'm getting at here is just the hand of a human, the hand of a squirrel. Even you ever see the hands of a squirrel? They're tiny little things, and they're holding on to those acorns, and they're eating them. So I'll just put one more finger here. This would be the pinky, I think. Anyway, so yeah, so when you're drawing painting a hand, take the time to get all the little nuances, every little curve, every little shadow, and then you really can't go wrong. I know we have a tendency to want to do things quickly, and I know we have a tendency to want to do things the way we think they look. But if you draw and paint what you see and not what you know, then I think you'll be better off as somebody trying to create art now. Everybody has different opinions about what works with art. And so maybe my theory is, or my rule is applicable for me and not for you. But let me explain what I mean by that. If you know that let's say you're doing a face. This is a perfect example, actually, but this is an exception because there's a soda can here. If you know that a person has nostrils, and of course people have nostrils, you know that, everybody knows that, right? So, but yet you don't see the nostrils. Maybe the head is tilted down. You don't see the nostrils. Then you don't draw them, you don't paint them, because if you don't see them, then they're not there. Then they don't need to be drawn. So see, I'm trying to space this out here. Get the bottom of this can correct. Yeah, so, okay. So I don't know what kind of soda she's drinking, by the way. I don't want this to be an ad for Coca-Cola or something. But, can we get these look like I made some mistakes here, so I have to make sure I get the other finger over here. Just a hint of a finger is peeking through. There we go. All right, now let me erase some of the stuff I made a mistake with. Sometimes when you erase on watercolor paper, later on when you put the watercolor on it, you can tell. So I hope I don't do too much damage here with the paper, with the eraser. But that looks like a hand, a female hand, holding a can. And I'll just put some design on there. Let me just try to... Yeah. The other thing is I could be using a watercolor pencil. It's okay to use watercolor pencil. In fact, sometimes when you're painting in watercolor and you're using watercolor pencil, it's a good idea. The reason I don't want to use one here is because I'm really depending on my sketch now. I really feel like if I used watercolor, the watercolor pencil would dissolve as I put the water on it, and then I wouldn't be able to see the sketch anymore. So the way to deal with that is to either A, not worry about it, just go ahead and let the sketch marks show later on when it's all done, or just create some opaque moments in the picture. All right, now let's get her face. You can't really see her nose. Try to get it right here. Just a little hint of a nose. Yeah, I'll have to fix that. Again, sketching is an art in and of itself, right? So let's see. And I do want her looking at the camera because the model I'm using, the reference photo I'm using is, the girl has really pretty eyes. I hope I can replicate that. I did a picture once before of a girl drinking a soda. In that picture, she's drinking a soda in a swimming pool. And it was very cool because there was so much blue light coming up from the swimming pool. Usually I use as a rule of thumb that this to this is equal to this to this, and that would be the second eye. It's not always true, and I'm having a hard time just looking at it. Now, if I had the paper this way and the subject was over there, I could kind of hold it up against it, you know. Even when you do live sketches, you're sitting with a person sitting across from you. It makes it a lot easier to try to line it up. It doesn't always work, but you know, the constant reevaluating, the constant reobserving, making sure that you got the lines where you want them, because the mistakes need to be made now. The mistakes need to be made during the sketching part, because once the paint is down, that's hard to undo. So those are her eyes, those are her hand, here's the soda can. And let's see if we can get the edges of her face in here. Her eyebrows are raised a bit because she's tilting her head back. And her forehead is up here. I may not have plotted it out perfectly, but it's okay. It'll work. I can see it starting to happen now. And then it'll be exciting to see how it looks when the paint starts going on it, right? There we go. And this would all be hair here. There's not much room for background, which is good because I didn't really have any ideas for what to put in the background. We can all relate to this because we all have at one time or another had a drink from a soda can. I'm going to go ahead and put the hair on the other side of the card, on the back of the card. Just make the hair go down here, I guess. I don't really know what's going on in this picture because it's got a lot of shadows on it. But I just basically wanted to try to do this. I have been doing cards so much lately, and a lot of times, most of the time, they're landscapes, and I really truly love doing landscapes. And yesterday I did one of a camper, an Airstream RV, or whatever you call those things you pull behind a trailer. And there were no people in the picture. And I have put people in pictures many times. Oh my gosh, early on in my art days, I was doing portraits all the time of people. There we go. I think we got the girl. This hair is going to be darker in the shadows. The hair is going to be darker. So, all right, time to get the paints and start to add paint to this picture. Let me put the pencil and the eraser away. By the way, I like using this eraser. It's Pentel. I don't know if it matters, the brand, but that's what I'm using, Pentel. And I like it because I like it better than these erasers on the pencils. Actually, let me erase a little bit of that. around her nose. It's a little bit too much pencil mark. Okay. Now you could argue that it would be nice to just make it a sketch, a pencil sketch. And I suppose you're right. But we're going to use these. We're going to use the Winsor Newton pan watercolors. And so you set over here so you can see them. I got my brushes over here. I don't really worry about the brushes too much. In this case, I do want to make sure I have at least one of these kind with the tip, because the thin tip. All right, now I'm going to use this side of the paper here as a mixing place, because skin tone is interesting. And with these watercolors, you have to really work it a little bit. Now that looks a little orangish. What if I were to add a little bit of red to it? That might work. So let me use that. So basically for her skin tone, her complexion, I'm using this orange here and putting it over here. That's my palette over there. And I'm using the red, and then I'm watering it down a lot. Just watering it down, keeping it very thin. And I'll worry about the shadows as I get deeper, as I add more paint to her face. Right now I just want all the places where we see her skin to have a little bit of pigment on there. And I did not water the paper first. I was kind of afraid to do that in this case, because I just want to spread it around. I want to keep it wet while I'm working it, so I kind of have to work fast. But not as fast as like with acrylics. Well, yeah, it is just as fast, I guess. Acrylics are so thick, they don't have to be, but they tend to be. Watercolor is so thin. So yes, I'm just basically putting in a very, very rough, very, very lightly placed skin tone, because there are some areas of her skin that are going to be reflecting light, and I know that white of the paper is what I really want. However, the brightest spot on this picture is not her skin. The brightest spot is the bottom of the can, the reflections of the can. And so it's all a matter of contrast, and contrasting one color with another. So just getting all this area where we see her hand and her face and her neck, everything but her eyes, of course. And eyes are a whole different world, so I'll tell you about them in a moment. Well, I'll tell you about them when we get to them. Anyway, so how you doing? It's Saturday here where I am, by the way. And I don't know what Robert and I have planned for today. Just make that a little bit more orange and a little bit more watered down. So actually the back of the card, right now I'm using it as a palette, but I'm going to probably end up using all these places I'm mixing the colors as a background. So if you open up the card, you could use the whole card as a painting. That's probably the idea here. Plus, I'm always upset that these cards are pulling up paper, little dots of paper. I don't like that. Okay, since that's got a little bit more red in it, I'm going to go ahead and add that right now to her cheeks, because I see some red in her cheeks. I see some shadows up here. So I'll go ahead and add that to it while I have it. And this area down here is darker. The shadows. Alright. All these little specks of paper I have to pick up. I don't know why this paper does that. Other watercolor paper doesn't do that. Alright, that's pretty good. Geez, what should I do now? I don't want to do her eyes yet because it's too wet around her eyes, so it might bleed into there. I guess I can do. Let me do some of the grays on the bottom of the can. Again, I'm going to take some very, very light gray. Use one of the smaller brushes here. I don't know if it's going to rain today or not. It's a nice day out there right now. The traffic is very... Oh, see, that was a mistake. That rolled into it. I don't want that. The traffic is very light right now. Everybody's sleeping in, I guess. Well, it's only 7:30. It's a Saturday morning. So... Alright, let's see. I've been thinking about camping ever since yesterday when I painted that picture of the Airstream. I don't have an Airstream, I have a tent, but I keep thinking maybe I should go to a campground today. Maybe I'll set up my tent today just to set it up. Alright, let's take what color is this? Is this green? What color is this? Sometimes I have to try the colors. I'm not sure what they are. Let's see, what's this one? It's like a green, isn't it? This is yellow. You can see I've used the yellow a lot. I think I want green. I guess that's a blue-green. Well, what's this one? That's more green. Maybe I'll take that green and that yellow. Make it like a Sprite can or something. Make it very watered down. Okay. Make sure it... Well, her face looks dry now. It's not going to be too... There we go. So the bottom of the can is silver. It's aluminum. And the top of the can is also aluminum, but it's painted. Again, I'm putting it on very lightly. I can always add darker tones later on. But just get a starting point. Just get a place where it starts to look like what you want it to look like. There we go, a little bit darker over here. Since I have some darker green, I'll just go ahead and make this side a little darker. The middle of the can will be where the light is reflecting the most. Just pull that darker water over here. Pull some darker over here too. There we go. And that gray on the bottom can be a little more defined. go. All right, now her hair is kind of the same tone as her skin, but darker. So I'm going to use that orange. I'm going to mix it with this gray, try to get a brown look to it. And make sure her skin tones are dry. And I'll try to add that. Let's try to add that color to her hair. Again, I'm going to lay it down. It's kind of dark, but it's still a light dark, if that makes sense. Because I can add the darker darks later on. And let me just get a little more, mix it in. Especially the lines around her face, defining her face. Her hair frames her face. I hear a hawk outside. The birds are amazing. I watch the birds when I sit outside. All the animals are amazing. I used to feed the birds. I'll tell you why I don't do that anymore. The reason I don't do that anymore is because the squirrels also eat the food. Now, I really like watching the squirrels eat. However, apparently, they thought, it sounds funny to say they thought, but apparently they thought that if you feed them, there must be food in here for them. So they were in the attic. I didn't like them in the attic. Yeah, that wasn't good. So we had to usher them out. It was hard. It was hard to do things. We tried mothballs and tried a few things, and finally we found something that got them out of there. There was a oh, I gotta tell you this one. So Robert and I went to a blueberry farm, and on the blueberry farm there was, you could hear a hawk. You could hear a lot of hawks. And so I was wondering where they all were. So we walked deep into the farm, because it was one of those you pick your own blueberries kind of places. And so we were walking around, picking blueberries. But I was looking for where the hawks were. Well, I found where they were, and they were not there. What there was a loudspeaker up on a pole playing the sound of hawks, like over and over again. And, of course, I don't know much about farming, but I assumed it was kind of like the equivalent of a scarecrow. And it was placed there to keep, I don't know, other birds away, or maybe other animals away. So I recorded it on my phone. I recorded the sound that was coming from those speakers. First I did it because I wanted to show my son. I thought, well, this is cool. Let me show him. But then after I got home, I thought, I wonder if I took a Bluetooth speaker and put it in the attic and then played those sounds up there, would the squirrels that were up there get out of there? I can't swear it worked, but I'll tell you the experiment I did and what happened. So to see if it would work, I went outside and I put the Bluetooth speaker in the bushes. And then I waited for some squirrels to come around. So the squirrels were coming around, they were eating like they always do. And I love watching them, just to tell you I do. But I wanted to see what they would do. So then I pushed the button on my phone to start the sound of the hawks that I had gotten from that blueberry farm. And instead of the squirrels running away, they just froze. They just stood in place. They didn't go anywhere. They went after I turned it off. Then they ran back to the trees. But I thought, well, that's something. Now maybe if I played it in the attic, because I did play it in the attic, and I don't know what they were doing up there. I couldn't tell. But I'll tell you this, they weren't gone. They might have froze. They might have ran away a little bit, but they came back. So we went to Ace Hardware, and they had some repellent packages, things that repel them, not kill them, but repel them. They don't like the smell of these things, I guess. So that seemed to work. I don't remember what it was called. Now, and by the way, we did try the humane traps. They had non-toxic bait in them for the squirrels to find and eat, and then be trapped, not be killed, but be trapped. And then I could take the trap, and the instructions said to drive 2 miles away. take the squirrels 2 miles away. I said, there's so many squirrels outside. I'm going to be doing this forever. But anyway, I tried it. We know what the squirrels did? They ate through it. It was made of plastic, so they're not stupid. They're smart. So this part of her hair is a little bit darker. Since it's already dried, I can sort of darken it up a little bit. And of course, you want the look of hair too. You don't want just a big blob of color. So and I'll come back to this. Keep some stuff light. This area over here is darker. It's got more shadow in it. There we go. A little bit of a hint of curls and waves in her hair. That's a little bit too much. I'll work with that. Okay. I overdid it with that darkness right there. That's just not right. I have to spread that out a little bit. Pull that. And this too over here. You can pull it up a little bit with a dry brush or with a wet brush, depending on what's on the paper. Yeah, the one thing you have to be careful is not to make it too dark, because it's hard to go back. I'm using that wet brush to try to lighten it up a little bit over there. Okay, well, we'll let that dry. There's not a whole lot I can do while it's wet, so just let it sit there, and then we'll work with it later. Okay, now let me go to her eyes and try to make those eyes look the way I see them. So I'm going to use this very thin brush here. It's not super thin. Her eyes look green to me. So I'm going to start with that. Just some real easy green. Some real so super easy. Okay, now that's wet, so I gotta think about that. Now under her eyes, the eyes are not really white. The white of the eyes are not really white. In the context of watercolor painting, however, you might want to consider leaving them white. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of blue, very watered down blue, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to the side of her eye, or the whites of her eyes. Just a little bit to create that shadow, the shadow that falls on our eyes, especially in the corners. Here we go. Keep it a little bit white. Put that blue there. Alright, now I have to let her, the colors I just put in her eyes, I have to let them all dry. You notice I kept a little bit of white there. That would be the reflections. And then I'll add the lines. I can do her eyebrows, I think. I'm going to go ahead and use this brown and black mix. Go ahead and put her eyebrows in there. And again, I can make these darker too later on. Women are very particular about the eyebrows. I think this girl might not be happy with the way I did hers, but... Alright, let me add some shadows here under her, the part of the hand that's close to the can. And also down here behind her hand. Just add a little bit of darkness. And also over here on her face. And I'm just using this little brush because I'm drawing in the paint more than doing any broad brush strokes. I think that works for a portrait. I'm going to wet it down a little bit as a way to kind of graduate it up there to the places that I want to be lit. Some other areas around here will be a little bit darker. Just to define her fingers a little bit more. Because I don't really want the pencil to be defining it. However, that might be what happens. This finger sort of got lost. This finger on this side of it. That piece of paper. Yeah, that finger might be hard to discern that it's a finger. Alright. Go ahead and now we should darken the side of her nose over here also. There we go. It's starting to come together. A little bit darker around her eyes Again, I haven't added the real details of her eyes. Her eyelashes are going to probably be the thing that really pulls it all out. Right now I'm just trying to get some of these nuances of color here. Kind of like if you've ever done a cartoon, you don't worry about every shade. You just get the kind of the three: the bright, the mid-tone, and then the dark. I'm not quite doing it like that, but that's sort of what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking. Okay. Just had some darkness around her tops of her fingers where the shadows are coming in. Using the other side of the card as a palette is very helpful for me. And then later on I'll just mush it up and make it the background, you know, the other side of the card. It'll work, I think. That's going to be the easy part. And that's the other up there I was worried about. It's drying lighter than it looked, so I'm happy about that. Okay, let me go ahead and make this darker over here. Look at some of these orange tones, make her hair look more brown, or at least have some brown highlights to it. It's interesting how watercolor dries. Alright, now let's take some of this again. Give her some shadow on her face here. And around her eye. Maybe some more shadows over here on this side of her face, around her eye here. Again, try to use the water to blend it in and to lift it. Sometimes lifting it is kind of a way of erasing it. Now you see the difference between doing a landscape and a portrait. I guess you could call this a portrait. Is that with a landscape you can let things slide a lot. With a face, especially if it's supposed to look like somebody in particular, which thank goodness that's not what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to make this look like the girl in the photo. I'm just trying to use her pose as a reference. But in a landscape you can let things slide. If you have a tree that doesn't quite look like the tree you're looking at, it doesn't really matter, as long as it looks like a tree. You know, the idea is the composition. Same thing here, by the way. It's the composition that's the most important to me. I'm not doing a portrait of a particular person. I'm doing a composition of a woman drinking a soda. And while this would probably never be a real greeting card, it is a good exercise to do, not for greeting card purposes, but for commercial art. And I know there's all kinds of programs where computers can do watercolor art, and I don't know where the AI world is going to take the art world. I don't know. I don't know. I know there's a lot of discussion about it, and I'm a little bit upset about it myself sometimes. But I read this article that I think is a university in Pennsylvania somewhere. They're going to be teaching AI, like trustworthy AI, I think is what they call it. Okay, well that sounds good. The word trustworthy sounds good to me. So whatever they're teaching the kids about AI, so use AI in a way that helps humanity and not takes away from it. But you know, throughout the course of human history, it's always been about progress, and it's always been about, I mean, look, we have cars, right? Good or bad, they're there. Will they always be there? That's a question, right? Everybody always thought everything is always going to be there. Nobody thinks anything's going to change, but things do change. Anyway, I'm all over the map today with what I'm talking about, right? I was talking about camping earlier. Right now I'm getting thirsty. That can is making me want to get a nice cold something. Not really. I'm good. I'm good. My little grandson, he likes to say I'm good. He asks him, do you want anything else to eat? He says, I'm good for now. It's fun. I love being Poppa. I am Poppa. That's why I'm Poppa. I'm Poppa because of him. He calls me Poppa. I wanted him to call me Poppa. When he was born, I asked my son, what's he going to call me? And he said, I don't care. What do you want him to call you? And I said, Poppa. And I'll tell you why. Because that's what I called my grandfather. Was Poppa. Isn't that funny? It's funny how we get older, and I embrace it, though. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I may have looked better when I was younger, but I honestly don't think I was better. I don't think I was happier. I think I'm happier now. Hey, why not be happy, right? Why not be happy? Look at these little hair wisps I'm giving her. Wow. She's got some hair going on here. So, yeah, I can't decide what I'm going to do with that left side here. The background, it's going to be an interesting experiment in pushing around colors. That side might be abstract. Yeah, this will be a combination abstract and portrait. I just make her cheek a little less. That looks a little weird, that cheek. Alright, I don't want to do too much because you can't undo it, really. Alright, let me give a little more color to her eyebrows. And then I'll go ahead and do the eye liner and the pupils. Are you ready for that? Alright, first I want to do very, very lightly. I'm going to do that line that goes over the eyes. It's probably a word for it, but I don't know what it is. It doesn't happen on every human. It's just something that happens on many humans. Right now I'm going to give her a line that is thicker on this side than it is on this side. And then another line on this side that does the same. Tapers off. Start thin on this side, go thick on this side. Same thing over here. All right, now let's take this very carefully and put a pupil in there. Do it over here. Very, very carefully. And then the outside of her iris has a dark line, but it doesn't go all the way around because there's a reflection over there. Same thing over here. I'm going to make her eyeliner, her eyelash a little bit bigger, a little bit darker. Now let's give it some actual lashes. Let's take this brush and try to imagine what these lashes look like. The photograph is really blurry, so I can't really see it. But we all know what eyelashes look like, so. And this breaks my rule. I said, paint what you see, not what you know. Well, in this picture, I don't see the eyelashes, but I do know they're there, and I guess I'm breaking my own rule here. All right, that looks pretty good. I don't want to mess with the eyes too much. I'm pretty sure that looks as good as it's going to get. Let's make those pupils a little bit darker. All right, now let me just see if I need to add some depth anywhere. Let me take the two colors again, the orange and the dark gray, and I'll use that as a way to add some more body to her hair. I think I should add some more of this dark to the fingers too. The fingernails are lighter in color than the area surrounding the fingernails, and I could either go to my gouache and add white or not, just make it darker around the fingernails. I really kind of wanted to do the whole picture with the pan watercolors from Winsor and Newton, which I love these watercolors. A little darkness here, a little darkness here. Again, I'm kind of drawing in the paint. Kind of like what you would do with a pencil. Just kind of getting those shadows to be a little bit more defined. In digital art, what I would do is I would take the multiply layer. I would turn the multiply layer on, and then I would put a layer of either amber brown or maybe some kind of a blue that's not so blue, and then I would erase the parts that I wanted to be lit. So I'll show you that on if not next time, but one. You know what? If you would like me to show you digital art, I think most of the people who are tuning into this channel want this kind of art, traditional art, and so. However, if there's anybody out there that wants me to demonstrate Procreate, just let me know. I'll go ahead and do that. I've got a few videos on already that are demonstrating Procreate. I did one with Procreate Dreams, which is a wonderful animation program. However, it's really not my cup of tea. I would go to somebody like Aaron Blaze, look at his videos. He's an amazing animator. And there's others as well. All right, now see, that looks a little better because it gave a little bit more depth to it, added some darkness to it. And I think what I want to do is add a little bit of red to her cheeks. So I'm going to get some of this red here, water it down a lot. I mean a lot. I don't want much red on there at all. Just get it very watered down. Just add a little bit of red to her cheeks. And do it over here too. Maybe I'll do that to her hand a little bit. It's almost as if you can't really see it. It's there, but it's not really noticeable. Of course, the before and after, you could see it. Let me go ahead and add some of that to her fingers. Just spread it around a little bit. Maybe it's a way to accentuate the difference between the lit areas of her hand and the other areas. Yeah, that's working. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. And just as a way to add a little bit more definition to her hand. Okay, let me go back to that soda can now. Get some of this gray off the page there. Just add a little bit here. That gives that reflective look there. And I have no idea what this soda is. I'm just going to put some marks on it, like it's got some design, like words or something. Yeah, a little bit more darkness, I guess, to a little bit of a shadow on the can itself. Yeah, the other idea would be to create the lightness, the light areas, would be to use gouache and go back over it with something opaque. And I do that all the time. If you watch any of the other videos, you'll see that I do that a lot. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that once in a while, I just want to challenge myself to see if I can do the whole thing with the watercolors. And now, by the way, you could say this is mixed media, because the truth is the pencil marks are playing a role in this picture. They're not completely obliterated. They are there. Just add a little bit more. To her hair. It's like she's got very dark hair, but maybe there's some light coming in through the sides that's giving a little bit of an orange glow to her hair. Maybe her hair isn't really like that, but the light is doing that. I like the idea of doing a can. I think the can was a challenge too. Mostly because of that bottom, that reflective bottom. Well, there's no question about it. She's drinking soda from a can. And that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted to accomplish. You're probably not old enough to remember this, but there was a song, there was a commercial for Hoffman soda. And the song went, "The prettiest girl I ever saw was drinking Hoffman through a straw." Yeah, she's not drinking Hoffman. One, she's not using a straw. But anyway, I just thought of that one for some reason. Isn't it funny how advertisers use techniques like that? The prettiest girl I ever saw was drinking Hoffman. So then everybody automatically thinks, oh, if I drink Hoffman through a straw, I'm going to be the prettiest girl. Is that how that works? Is that the psychology behind the advertising world? All right, now you see this part right here? I just kept that white because it's reflecting the light. So it is the brightest part of the pictures right there. All right, now what do we do with this mess? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take this big, soft brush. Well, let's see if we can do something with that mess. I think I want to add some red to it. I'm just going to spread it out. It's a big mess. So maybe that's what it is. She's standing in a place, maybe by a wall, and the wall is just a big mess. So this is where I can kind of have fun a little bit. Add some colors that I didn't plan on adding and add it to the picture. Because once it's folded, you won't see all that. That'll be on the back. But I want whoever gets the card to open it up and see, oh, there's something on the back. And what's on the back is my mess. Don't tell anybody that it's a mess. Just let them think it's some kind of artistic genius or something. I don't even know what that means, artistic genius. But just adding a little bit of this. Put some red back there, I think. Let me get it up against her hair. Yeah, so she's someplace. She's like in a city or something where there's just a lot of crap going on around her. Yeah. I could have left it on a white background, but I did want to do something with this. I kind of had that in mind as I was using it as a palette to spread it around. Make it fun. Make it very artsy or something. Now, what should we call this one? What do you think we should call this one? Soda Girl. Soda Girl? The prettiest girl I ever saw? No, I don't want to do that. How about Watercolor Soda Girl? Watercolor. Use the word watercolor. You ever see graffiti on walls, like in trains, and you can't figure out what they say? Oh, you're not alone. I can't figure out what they say either. I don't know what those words are. I don't know. Is it just mishmash or is it really words? And if it's like a different language that I don't know, I mean, I know a lot of words in foreign languages. I guess Spanish, I know a lot of words. I don't know. I can't speak fluently, but I know a lot of words. And I don't recognize any words, English, Spanish, or anything. Now, I don't know Russian words, but they don't look like Russian letters. And why would they be Russian? They're in New York. They're in New Jersey. They're on the subway. They're on the train here in Ocala. The train goes by and you see the colors. I don't know. All right, so anybody who says I don't do abstract, you're wrong, because look right here, this is abstract. This is really abstract. This is a mess. My palette is always an abstract mess. It's funny, some people look at the palette and they like it. They like what the palette looks like. Well, this is it. I'm using all of this, smushing it around. I kind of like it. I could make a little bit of a, I could have a little bit of thought to it. I could have some bright spots and dark spots. I think I will do that. All right. So I think I will take this and make something out of it. Yeah. I'm keeping it a mishmash, but at the same time, I'm going to do something with it. Don't ask me what yet, because I'm not sure. But I think what it needs is some vertical lines, some dark vertical lines. They just need to be there, just mysterious. What the heck are those things? You know, just some vertical lines, just to make it interesting. Okay, and get them wet. That looks like I used green for that one. Yeah, like what the heck are those vertical lines? Nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to say anything. They're just going to look at the picture and say, oh, look at a girl drinking soda. That's going to be everything they say, if that. Or they're going to say, oh, is that AI? Oh, who's the girl? They're going to say, who's the girl? Is that somebody you know? Is that your daughter? Is that your granddaughter? Is that your cousin, your niece? Who is that? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Yeah, that's starting to look a little bit more like an intentional composition, but it's not really. I think I've been going just over an hour, it looks like. My phone, my camera keeps time for me. Sometimes I go so long, I use the whole memory card. All right, let's make it a little bit darker on the bottom, and then we'll say we're done. The only reason I want it darker on the bottom is to accentuate her hair a little bit. Now keep in mind, this is all the back of the card. This part's the front. See, there's the line right there, the middle line. Yeah, I think if I make it darker right there, then her hair looks lighter. I kind of like that. Of course, once it dries, it might not look that way. One of the things I like about this Winsor Newton colors is they do stay true. When you are placing a color and later on you look at the dry version, it doesn't change. It does a tiny bit, but it doesn't change dramatically like some of the other brands, the cheaper brands. Yeah, I know I said the word cheap. I didn't mean cheap. Some of the less pigmented brands, put it that way. They're not all cheap. Even some of the less pigmented brands. In fact, some of the Winsor Newton are better and cheaper than some of the other ones I've seen. And I'm not a Winsor Newton salesman. Oh, sorry, my legs are getting cramped under the desk. All right. Well, I think we're done with this girl. And just leave it as it is. There's some watermarks on there that I feel like I want to get rid of, like right there. Just spread it out a little bit. But the rest of it looks okay. Looks like a watercolor painting. Alright, now I'll let it dry, and then I'll put the video together. So you can see that the pencil is actually working in this painting. So this is mixed media. It's pencil or graphite and watercolor. But I think it gets the idea across that this is a girl drinking a soda in a very crazy area. Maybe she's at Mardi Gras or something. Kind of looks like Mardi Gras, doesn't it? Hey, that's what it is. This girl in Mardi Gras drinking a soda, done in watercolor. All right, I'm gonna let it dry and then I'll fold it up. But anyway, there it is. There's the girl drinking the soda. All right, see you later.